Capre.
Right.
You know, the spirit lives in the tree.
Right.
So this actually confirms in many ways what are the ancients, what are our mga ninuno, our forefathers, our ancestors
You know,
believe.
many knowledge that has been passed down to us has been lost. We have become so logical, we have become too scientific, we forgot that there is knowledge that is that should be basic and that should be with us, that we should take care of. That's why, you know, you look at what's happening to the earth now. There's so much devastation, catastrophe happening because nature is going back against us now.
Yes. Well, guys, hold that thought because we have to pause for a break.
Okay.
And guys, stay tuned because when Philippines Uncut comes back, more of Ghost Protocol, Paranormal Investigations. We'll be back. Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. Tonight's topic is Ghost Protocol, Paranormal Investigations. And joining us still are two former spirit questers, Eric Asuncion and Nick Nangit. So guys, welcome back to our second segment. And in the first segment, we ended by talking about elementals. And you know, this is a really, as I pointed out, as I said earlier, you know, our forefathers, our ancestors, and the people in the countryside still believe in, let's say, Capre or Duende, and this is actually the elementals. These are actually the elementals that you guys are referring to. But you know, a lot of people these days, when you say, "Ay, may Capre dyan," or there's a dwarf living there, people say, "You're nuts." Like, you know, what's that?
That's the problem.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, there are two problems actually that I can see through my experience as a spirit quester. One is media has been hyped about it and has been presenting the images of the elementals in a negative light. Maybe it's not well researched, or maybe it's just a figment of their imagination, but that's bad because they're painting a different image to the public, and the public gets a wrong image of the elementals, thinking that elementals are negative energies. If there's a Capre, people will say, "Ay, nako Capre, no, we should avoid that. Oh, that's bad, that's bad."
There's a duende, you know, that's malas.
Right, something like that, which is wrong. Another is, you see, everyone has a gift, the psychic ability. But as we grow up, we tend to become more logical because our education system is very logical. So we tend to cast away these things as figments of our imagination, imaginary friend, it's not true, which is wrong.
And even in the modern world, you know, we're surrounded by the internet, by all gadgets, by cable TV and all that. And so, you know, it clearly is a modern world already, and which would lead many to feel or to think, believe, and say that, you know, Capre, Duende, dwarves, you know, that's something my grandfather who lived in the countryside believed in, but not for me. I mean, I live in the city. I live in a, you know, in an urban setting. These things don't exist.
Wrong, but that's wrong because they have always been here and they will always be here.
Okay, another thing that people usually tell kids when they don't want to sleep and turn off the light and sleep in the dark is that, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts.
They're ghosts.
Guys,
you know, funny you mentioned that,
go.
buddy, because I don't sleep with the lights off.
Really?
Same here.
Yeah,
Same here.
Ah, okay.
How come? I mean, I thought that
when
you guys
I'm also scared. I get scared too.
Well, you sure picked a very strange hobby for someone who's scared of sleeping in the dark.
You know, sleeping, and then, you know, when I'm on my laptop and then suddenly I'll see somebody crossing here, I just don't mind. I say, I don't care. I'm so tired. I want to finish something. Or sometimes I can see.
Like for me, prior to being a questor, I used to sleep with the lights off. I couldn't sleep with any light. But when I became a questor, that was
then
it.
It really awakened this
when I reawakened my
awareness.
senses, that was it. I always sleep with the lights on.
Now, this third eye that people keep talking about, is it possible? I mean, I know that all of us, they say that everyone has a third eye.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of opening it and closing it.
That's
Now,
true.
is it possible to open someone's third eye?
Yes.
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 It's
How
possible.
does one open a third eye?
There's a process for that.
Mhm.
But then, with opening your third eye comes the responsibility.
Yes.
Wow.
You have to help others. In our case, it
And
has
you should be
always been
prepared.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
To
Face
yes.
To handle it.
prepare for
no?
the consequences, to
Yeah.
handle it, because it's a gift. You have to recognize your responsibility. If you're not responsible enough, it may go back against you.
Yeah.
It
Or
may
you-
be to
or-
your detriment.
I had a friend actually who had his third eye open.
Okay.
And he said he went to some albulario in Antipolo, a geomancer or something like that, who opened
Okay.
his third eye.
Okay.
And it affected him so much because apparently he was seeing all sorts of things.
Okay.
That's true.
And so, like for 2 weeks, he hardly had any sleep because he wanted to go to the guy again to have
Okay.
it turned off, to have it
Okay.
shut.
Okay.
But the albulario or the witch doctor or whatever went to the province. So he had to wait for 2 weeks until the guy came back.
Good luck.
And so his parents actually were so worried about him that they even had him drug tested because they thought he was
Yeah.
Yes.
taking
Yeah.
drugs because he
Right,
was
right.
seeing things.
Yes.
He told me like he would be driving and he'd see
Right.
something pass
Yes,
by or
yes,
walking in
yeah.
the mall or
Yes,
walking
yes.
in Makati and
Right.
then so it really almost drove him insane.
Yeah, it can be
Yeah.
bothersome. You cannot
Yes.
probably function normally.
Yeah.
But we are trained to close it also.
Yeah.
One way to close it is to be very logical or to think of money or to think of food.
Or actually, let's put it this way: not even think of food, but the quickest way, eat.
Yeah, eat. That's true.
Eat a heavy meal.
Why? What is because it draws the energy away from
Yeah,
here
from here.
to down
Yes,
here
yeah,
where
it
it's
focuses.
needed.
It focuses more in your stomach.
Practical.
Yeah, and
practical.
speaking of circles, when we hold circles, most of us, if not all of us,
All
do
of
not
us,
eat
yeah,
before
prior.
holding a circle. It's to make us less grounded, meaning the energy is to be elevated. We have to go to the alpha state. It's akin to the practices of different religions, meditation,
Buddhism,
the Buddhism,
of course,
they do
Hinduism.
meditate.
Yep.
Even the Ramadan festival, I mean the Muslims, they do that. They don't eat, they fast. Even Christians, we have fasting during Holy Week so that we can be more attuned to our
Yeah.
our religious side, spiritual side.
As you said, all religions do practice meditation. Even
Yes.
in the
Yes.
Catholic Church,
Yes.
the Rosary
Right,
Yeah.
is a
right,
form
right.
of
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah.
Repetitive
Yes.
chanting
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
And maybe you may not believe it, but these chants are actually they are spells. They are spells. It's witchcraft in a way. But
Okay.
people don't know that.
That's for another show.
Yes.
Now let's talk about these circles. How long
Okay.
does a circle usually last?
Depends.
It depends. It depends on the issue.
Yeah,
The
the
issue that's being
gravity.
addressed, the gravity of it, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, like we don't really banish people. Like we try to reach a compromise. So of course, you have an idea of how long it would take to compromise something, especially if it holds dear for either parties.
How successful were the questers, let's say, in resolving and maybe finding a solution to these paranormal occurrences?
Often we're
Out of 10, like
we're-
how many were 8 out of 10? 9 out of 10?
Nine.
Nine out of
Yes,
10.
9.
So there have been cases where you guys did everything you could and
Yes.
yet
Yes.
talagang there was
Yeah.
nothing that could be done
Yes.
to
Yes.
resolve the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
Or sometimes what happens is, for example, as Nick explained earlier, we're a group, right?
Yeah.
We actually go to a certain place,
Yeah.
do the scanning and everything. Then we find out that, we're not adequately in terms of
Prepared,
energies.
right.
So, for example, there are only like 5 of us, but the issue itself would require more or less like around
30,
9 or even
20.
10 people,
Right.
or even more than.
Wow.
So, in such cases, we call it, we call it a night. Then we go back again.
So talagang energy against energy to kind of
Yes.
balance it all.
We
Yes.
call that now a return quest, RQ.
Yeah, RQ.
It's a return quest.
Now, okay, the whole the reason for having these quests is that, as you said, there could be elementals or there could be human
Yes.
spirits
Yes.
who have lingered. Now, why
Yes.
do human spirits linger?
Okay.
Ghosts.
There are
I mean,
many reasons.
why are there ghosts
Right.
to begin with?
There are many reasons.
Mhm.
Some dead do not know that they are dead.
Yeah, especially for those
Right.
who, died of violent death, sudden death.
Yes.
They don't realize that they're dead,
Dead,
per se.
yeah.
So they linger on.
Yes.
They go through like,
Right.
just like the film, what's this? What the film? Sixth
Which one?
Sense?
Sixth
Sixth
Sense?
Sense, right.
Remember
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis' character?
Willis.
He was
That's just-
shot.
Yeah, he
tama,
was shot, but the beginning of the film, it wasn't shown. We didn't know that he was
Well, I
shot.
only found out today.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
It freaked me
Yeah.
the hell out.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
It's the
It's
same
the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
It's like he knows that he still exists
Right.
here on Earth, but in reality, he's not.
Right.
Okay.
There are those also who know that they are dead, but they have unfinished business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
So-
they passed on, let's say, normally in a hospital
Right.
or old
but
age.
they still want
there's-
to cling on because they want to do something for the living.
What could be the unfinished business?
Maybe transfer of properties, or maybe concern for a person who cannot be independent or has been relying on the dead for so long. Love.
Even transfer of properties. Huh?
Yes, yes.
How does a dead person manifest this or communicate this that, hey, I want you guys to settle these properties?
Yeah. For example,
Okay.
the living
He
wants
calls
to
the
sell.
bank?
Yeah,
What? Or
the living wants to sell the property.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the dead relative who owns it before doesn't want it to be sold,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
wants it to be converted to something else.
Okay.
So many times when they try to look for a buyer, the transaction
Fails.
fails.
Yeah. So in such cases, okay, that's where we come in, or we try to talk or connect with the spirit and try to find out what's happening.
I'm going to ask you their question. So you guys are saying that you can actually communicate
Yes.
with those on the other side
Right.
Yes.
Right.
directly.
Yes.
Communicate directly.
Yes.
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 How do they communicate to you? Like I know there's a process where
yeah,
people kind of
yeah.
write down whatever they
Yeah,
in
okay.
a trance and they write down everything on paper, and then it's supposed to be the spirit who's channeling himself or herself
Right.
through you
Yes.
to write down on the paper.
Yes.
Is that how you do it?
No, in my experience, it's more of verbal.
It's more verbal.
More verbal. We talk while we hold
Yeah.
the circle. Our hands are
Are all-
clasped together, and then we just say things.
Yeah.
So the spirit, like in my case, most of the time the spirit is behind me and telling me things. So I just tell it.
You can hear. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it come to you?
In my case, it's more of the feelings because I'm an empath. So the feelings of the person who has been dead, I just say things.
And thoughts also
Thoughts,
that
yes.
come into your head. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like for instance, today I'm happy, but then suddenly when I hold a quest, I just tell feelings of sadness. Like I describe a certain place before. How would I know that? Why would I be feeling that? So these are thoughts that come into my mind. Visions of the dead when the dead was still alive. I share it to the group.
Or
And it's confirmed.
Or
Interesting,
sometimes
interesting.
what happens is, for some they could actually hear it, like physically.
Yes. Yes.
Or sometimes, as Nick mentioned, it comes in the form of thoughts,
Right.
and you just have to verbalize it.
You guys don't use any like equipment because when you watch on TV,
No.
some people have claimed that they can actually record
Yeah.
or
maybe
using
science,
a TV or
yeah,
using
maybe,
a static
maybe
or whatever.
science has to catch up with that.
Yeah.
But in our case, like what we do in scanning, I brought this pendulum.
Okay.
It's a strange
Yeah.
pendulum.
Okay.
A dragon eating its tail. This is strange, no?
Yeah.
It's Chinese.
Ah.
Maybe you should dragon eating its tail or dragon chasing a ball. It's almost Chinese New Year.
Yeah, yeah. I use this for scanning, like looking at the energy of the place. I ask questions and it confirms if it's a yes or a no. So I use this. So this is one equipment that.
So different tools really
different
to help
tools.
you.
I also have
interpret.
a wand, just like Hogwarts.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe later I'll show the wand.
We also,
Now, okay. How do people know that they have a paranormal situation? Because like some people will just dismiss it. Ay, nako, that's just the wind, or it's just it's an old house, or the wood creaks. Or how would one know that one is really being haunted?
If it becomes bothersome.
technically speaking, yes. If it becomes like there are a lot of people who come to us and ask for help. The question we ask is, does it bother you? Because if it does, then that's the time that we may be able to help you. But if it does not bother you, let's leave it alone.
What are the manifestations usually? Is it something they hear? Objects
Could
being
be.
moved
Yes,
around?
yes, yes. Chairs moving,
yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
emanating from somewhere.
Yeah, could be, or visions.
Lights turning
Visions.
on and off.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere also that somehow the spirit world is very much connected to, or for some reason, sync with
Yes,
electricity.
because there are energies.
There you go.
Energies. That's why all energy forms, electricity is number one affected.
Now, okay, we being in a Catholic country,
Yes.
and the Catholic Church, I don't know if there's some quarters of the Catholic Church that I know support this, others kind of frown upon it or kind of look the other way.
Yeah.
And I know some cases where they've a couple has had their house blessed, and occurrences continue, and the priest would just say, "Ay, Just continue praying.
Praying.
Whoa. What do you guys?
Okay.
Oh, you're laughing.
Sorry.
You
How
see,
come?
our group, we are not, we respect all religions.
Okay.
Let me clarify.
But is it
that.
effective? Okay, let
Yes,
me
yes.
ask point.
We respect
Just
all
praying.
religions.
Is prayer
In fact,
effective?
we also
Yes.
respect the animists and the pagans. We
Okay.
don't judge them. So whatever you believe in, it's all right with us. Okay. I have been interviewed by Radio Veritas before, and and the Catholic priest who was there confirmed. So he has nothing against what we do. So it's just a practice of the different religions. Like if you're told by your pastor or your priest or your imam to continue praying, then just do it.
Hey, what happens if you continue praying? You pray every night, pray three
And it's
times
still
a day.
there, so
It's
one
still
day.
there.
Yeah.
So how come it's not working?
Yeah. Well, probably because it's wrong. There's something
It's not
that is
the right-
unsettled or
Okay.
something has not been solved yet. So that's when we enter.
Yeah, that's the time we come in.
Yeah, that's when we come in.
Because sometimes even if you pray, but then if the issue itself is not being addressed properly, okay, of course it will still manifest. It will still go on
Okay.
until the time that that you actually meet the issue head on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the most memorable experience of the two of you have shared together with a ghost, not an elemental, but a human spirit. What would it be?
Okay. Maybe one. I have so many, but maybe one that comes to my mind right now is a suicide victim.
Okay.
A female was reported in the news as to have committed suicide, and she left a note. All right, she hanged herself. When we did the quest, it turned out that she has a lesbian partner. Okay, and the lesbian partner connived with the gang to just drug her. Yeah,
Okay.
ask her to drink something and to drug her so that she can be, I think, raped or
Okay.
molested by the men.
And that happened, and then
No, because after she drank that drink, whatever
Okay.
that was, which was contrary to her physical condition, that's when she started having seizures, and so she died. So it was unintentional on the part of the people around her to kill her, but for them to save themselves, they have to make it appear like
Okay.
it was a suicide.
Sure.
Right? So there she was.
So it was unresolved.
Right,
Yes.
it's unresolved.
Okay.
But we were able to tell the people, well, the agents asked us who were the culprits. We cannot divulge that. One, it is not admissible in court. Second, we are also protecting ourselves from retaliation.
course,
If we
of course.
pinpoint A, B, and C are the ones who did this, A, B, and C might harm
Sure,
us,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So, besides, that's not the message of the dead. The message of that female
What
who
was the
committed
message?
suicide was to tell everyone there that she loves them, she loves the lesbian partner, and for them to take care of themselves, because for her it's all right. She doesn't care about who killed her, because she understands that it wasn't intentional. And by acceptance of the living, she moved to the light.
So that's how you were able to resolve
Yes. Yes.
this problem.
So the dead has a different concept of justice. It's not
Yes.
anymore an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, or blood for blood, put them to prison. No, it's not that.
it's more of coming to peace.
Yes,
Yeah.
coming inner peace.
Inner peace
Yes.
with
the self.
With the self.
So that you can meet your
Yes.
creator or whoever you believe in. It's always like that.
Now, when most people talk about, or most people's experiences, guilty as charged, with trying to communicate with the other side is the Ouija board
Yes.
or the spirit in the glass.
Right, right.
Now, what do you guys have to say about that?
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
Unless you are trained to do that.
Why is it dangerous?
Because you may summon other beings that have nothing to do with the issues.
You can't really control what you call.
Yes, you may not be able to control it.
And it really works, because I've actually,
Yeah.
as I said, guilty as
Yeah.
charged. I've actually tried to use a Ouija board before.
Yes.
And the glass really does move
Yeah,
on
yes,
its
that's
own.
true.
That's
right.
true.
Yes.
That's true. So it's dangerous. We don't really do that. You have to have a higher degree, as Eric mentioned off the air earlier. You have to have a degree of training for that.
What could happen? Let's say, okay, you summon a spirit and a bad spirit comes in the glass.
Illness, even up to the point of death.
Wow.
Yes.
What about possession? Do you guys ever have an experience dealing with demonic possession, that kind of thing?
Demonic? No.
Not exactly
not
demonic.
exactly.
Not exactly demonic.
But I have
possessions.
had one experience wherein this guy, again, committed suicide. Because apparently, before he died, he was already possessed. by the devil. He was hanging his cross upside down. He was throwing the Bible away. So we tried to communicate. Okay, we saw his life before he died, and then we found out that through the circle that he was confined in a mental asylum, a small clinic. We tried to go to that clinic, but then we couldn't enter because suddenly there were clouds all around, and there was a black hooded figure that was preventing us from entering. So we had to cut off because we are not prepared for that.
So it's
Probably
also
that
you have
is
to be
Satan,
careful as well. I
yes.
mean, you guys with all your
Yes.
training and all your
Right.
experience
Because
have to be careful.
we don't
as
know
well.
what's beyond that. We could,
course.
but then we might be the
You,
ones.
you might be putting yourselves at risk.
Yes.
That's
Now,
true.
Eric, earlier you spoke about banishment. That I mean, some people, some groups I know, they drive the spirit away.
Yeah.
That's inhabiting a certain place.
Mhm.
But you guys don't practice banishment.
Yes.
Why not? To solve the problem, why don't you practice banishment?
Well, let's put it this way. Put yourself in the position or in the shoes of the, let's say, of the entity that's being addressed. How would you feel if you were banished out of your own home? And if you've been staying at your home, in your home for, like, let's say, 100 years, 150 years, and then some people come in, and they take over your place, and they...
Parang the others.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Then
The living would probably say, we're here, we're living, find
Exactly
find
the
somewhere
point.
else. I mean, there's a lot of spaces where they could
exactly
go.
the point, right? Exactly the point. So there.
And
So,
also, yeah.
and of course, how would you feel if you're
Bad, yeah, I
yeah,
feel bad.
if you
evicted.
if you're banished, yeah,
Of
if you're
course.
if you're evicted,
Of
yeah.
course.
And as spirit questers, we believe in peaceful coexistence and unconditional love. Yeah, that's
So
the
you've never
things.
actually in a quest, you guys have never, it's always been talked to
Yeah.
the being or entity and have them stay there, but
Yes.
just not freak the people out who live in the
That's
house.
true. That's true.
I could roll
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah,
Or
sure.
it's true. Yeah, or we call it like it's more like a compromising. It's a compromise situation. Like, okay, I'll stay here. Okay, and most of the time, what happens is usually for elementals, okay, what they ask for is just basically acknowledgement. Just acknowledge that they exist in the property, that you all live in the same place. That's it.
That's it.
Most of the time, those are just the cases that we handle.
Okay.
Or
And-
those are
yeah.
just the issues that
And they ask for small offerings,
Yeah,
small,
small offerings.
tokens like cigarette butts
Mhm.
or cigarettes,
Mhm.
candies,
Yeah.
rice grains.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's all they want. So we recommend to the agents to probably plant a tree or put up a small pond or just
Or a
offer,
pot or
yeah, or
some
something,
plants or
yeah.
something, yeah.
And they're happy with that.
Yeah.
But one thing also, these are multidimensional beings. So these are not, physically, if you're seated there, it doesn't mean that entity can no longer sit
Yeah.
on the same chair. They can also occupy the same space.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in one quest that I've had in an abandoned hospital in Clark, there are thousands of spirits, yeah,
Wow, I'm sure.
and they're overlapping. So it's not like
Wow.
when one is situated in this square meter or this block, nobody else can occupy. No, they overlap.
They can
Wow.
overlap. Yeah.
And
That's true.
it's also worthy to note and to tell our viewers, that the places where there are most number of spirits are
Human spirits.
churches, human spirits, churches and hospitals.
Because that's where most people have passed away, usually in hospital.
Yes, not only that, because when we're still alive, when we have emotional problems, we go to the church
Yeah.
or temple or whatever.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
we seek relief emotionally, spiritually, and when we are physically sick, where do we go? Clinics, hospitals. So at the moment of death, these are the familiar places to us
This
for
is where
seeking relief.
the spirits
Yes.
gravitate towards.
And there's so many of them in hospitals and churches, not in cemeteries, contrary to the common belief.
Yeah,
Well, that's something new. Now,
Yeah.
guys, so many things I want to ask you still, but we've come to the end of the show. Quickly, you want to say something to the audience? Where can they find you guys if they have problems, paranormal problems?
Well, maybe you can like us on Facebook, Nick Nangit. Just that. You can search that, Nick Nangit. But we will, of course, refer you also to our other members and to the new group that started, which I think is a continuation, the ESP,
Okay.
Esoteric Society of the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, excellent. Thank you very much. And I'm sure to have you again on the show because we still have to talk about tarot reading and tarot cards next time.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thanks guys. Thanks Eric.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you
Nick.
very much, buddy.
Okay guys, for you all out there, I hope that this has been enlightening and informative and enjoyed the show and learned a lot more about the paranormal world here on Philippines Uncut. So join us again next week here in the show where we talk about the issues that matter to you because you matter the most. See you next week.